right, so at this point, now we're in outplay mode, okay? So I knew again, all right, you have like 1 week. The holiday is, fast. The holiday was going to be in about another 7 days. So I said, okay, you have to outplay this guy, and you got to figure out how to get into your new apartment, get your documents, and get this other job and everything else. Okay, so I said, all right, I got to keep calm, because you guys have no idea. I really wanted to go in and like torch it, you know what I mean? And just let that dude, like, look, let me tell you something right here, SKB. And what's so funny is when I was with the New Zealand family, we were all having dinner, and Lisa, she turned to me and she says, excuse me, she says, oh, can you do that thing? Can you do, can you do that or whatever? And she said, will you please show us? It was so funny. I just started cracking up, because it's like, part of me, I mean, I knew she did not mean anything offensive or racist or anything mean, about that. And what's funny is, stereotypes a lot of times, like there are, truth to stereotypes and everything, but it doesn't mean like everybody's like that. But it's like, it's something from your culture or, whatever, that there is some truth to it. And then I know, like in the United States, a lot of times you have scholars, and rightfully so. I mean, you do need scholars and critics to kind of look at, the way different things play into culture and stuff like that. But then what was even funnier is she says, yeah, I think I saw you do it earlier when you were on the phone with your friend or on Skype with your friend. I think I saw you do it. So I know you can do it. So funny, because I was like, look, now this dude thinks that he's gonna actually, like when I was talking to my friend, it was so funny. So anyway, but that's how I felt. Like, clearly you don't know anything about women in America, how strong we are, and not to say that women in other countries are not strong, but definitely America has a very unique history with women's rights and with employment laws and the way women are treated, in the workplace and things like that. So, I have to stand on that legacy and stand on that history. Also, I'm African American. I'm going to stand on that legacy and history. And I'm from Chicago, and that is not, suburbs, city. I've lived both places, grew up in both places. But anyway, it's not for the faint of heart. It's one of the hardest cities in the country. And I mean, even Dr. Martin Luther King, was saying like he hasn't seen racism and hatred and things like that in other parts of the country that he saw in Chicago. I forgot what his exact quote was. But I mean, it's a city that builds your character, and it's not for the faint of heart. And it's a very grounded city. And again, I'm like taking all this legacy, and I'm thinking like, this dude has no idea who he's messing with. Okay, and that's why, like I said, I'm glad I let him underestimate me, because then when it was time for me to come in, I was going to come in hardcore. So anyway, I moved into my new apartment, got the old apartment. I continued to build my allies. I continued to send emails to people. I went to this networking event that was a few days later. Went really well. I met all these people from all over the world. Professionals who work in all these different industries, and people were asking me like about my experience and my story and everything. And the thing is, like, Jakarta is like a crazy city. I mean, it's like a New York City. It's like chaotic, completely insane, very international, very metropolitan. And so most of the expats, everything I was saying, like a lot of my experience, they were like, oh yeah, I've had that experience too. Or they would tell me something even crazier that happened to them, when they arrived. And, everyone's like, oh, wow, yeah, you're doing really well. Really smart of you to come out to this. And so it wasn't just me. It's not like this is the, other people haven't had my exact experience, but they've had their ups and downs since moving here and relocating and everything else. But it's all part of it. I mean, and that's part of like the experience that I did want living overseas. So it was great mixing it up with people. And then I met some people who were saying like, hey, if you need some force or, what do they call it? Like brute brawn. I don't know what the term is, but, kind of like if you need some manpower to go to you with this meeting, you might need that. And I mean, that's not something I would normally do, but like in this country, it doesn't hurt. And fortunately or unfortunately, they really, some people, not everybody in Indonesia, but some people really do, when they see white men, they put them extremely on this pedestal, So this woman, actually, I mean, it was actually another African-American woman. She introduced me to this, I think he was an Australian man who was an attorney who also works here. And then he introduced me to another German guy who works for the UN. And they're both like these tall guys, I'm talking like 6'4", stocky big dudes. And they said, look, if you need us to come to this meeting, you let us know, because there's no way we're going to let him treat you like this. So bam, another little card in my pocket, So anyway, that was nice. I mean, at the very least, it gave me more security and confidence and comfort and everything. And, I just had a lot of people who had my back. It was like the more people I talked with, even more people wanted to help me. And I actually met that attorney, Marini, and, she was, and it was like I said, everybody was saying like, God, this guy is so weird. Like, why, like if you guys end up in court or if you go to the embassy, like he has everything to lose. Like, I don't know why he's doing this. So that was great. So then I went to my interview the next day, and, I received like a soft offer because I needed to be able to give her my, some of my documents, my passport, so they could process the visa when it comes time. And that was the thing. He had my original law degree, my original college degree, and he had my passport. And the thing is, this is not incredibly unusual. I don't want you to think it's like, oh, you were just like completely taken advantage of and like I had no idea what the law, no, it's not like that. Every country is different. Like a lot of times the school or you will work through an agent, and that agent will work through the immigration process because it's a lot of red tape. So a lot of times, like, they'll request documents from you. Sometimes it's copies of the documents. Sometimes it's a scanned copy. But sometimes they do need your original documents to then go and show, because, for fraud or whatever, show the original. And then they will return those to you and, go through the rest of the process. So this is not incredibly unusual. But it was just all these surrounding circumstances, with the way he was acting, the way he was treating me. He was holding on to the documents longer than what he probably really needed. And, those were the things that were creating the suspicion and were not appropriate. So my whole thing was like, I knew he set that up. So from that first of all, just him, just like he was really freaking out about me bringing these originals from the United States when I had sent him a scanned copy. And then for him to set it up like that first day, he kind of tired me out. I was already tired, but on top of that, he kept me out all day, and then, treating me to this reflexology massage, at the spa, and then was saying he's going to take me out for a beer, and then I canceled on him, and then he still showed up, a couple hours later and was saying, oh, I need the originals and the passport to process. So that was all a plan, because he knew, he probably knew once I was here that there's, in talking to people that other people might want to hire me. And the thing was, I would have stayed with him because that's what I committed to, and I was happy to help and teach and everything else. But no, it was about, he was trying to control me, and he thought I didn't know enough, or that, I wasn't equipped to navigate in this new country in the way I was. So anyway, like, and it's sometimes if they do take your originals, they're supposed to give you a receipt and just saying like, okay, I took these originals and this is when you can expect them back. So at that point, I just knew I was going to have to slay this dragon. I was going back and forth, and I didn't want to get into a place of like, why me? And, oh, why did this happen? And no, I trust God. I trust my path. I know I'm a strong person. I know I'm a smart person, and that, I do my best not to live in fear. And I just said, sometimes God uses people in funny ways. For instance, I really bless and thank this guy because I think it would have been harder for me to come to Indonesia under the circumstances if I didn't have that contact. You know, like I might have still done it, but then it might have been a lot more scary, and I just wouldn't have been energetically in as good of a place versus, you know, when I was coming here, feeling like I knew someone that I could trust, someone I had built a rapport with in the United States, you know, over a month. So I just said, I get it, you know, reason, season, and that was it. You know, he helped get me here, and he, you know, kind of introduced me, you know, into Indonesia. But now that partnership is over. And so then I said, why am I being used in this way? Because, you know, God will use you in all kind of ways. And I said, this guy has probably done this to other people. He'll probably continue to do it because I've seen him try to bully another teacher, and the way he treats, he talks about the parents and stuff like that. And I said, okay, maybe I'm being used to slay this giant. And I have the resources, the means, and the determination to do it, and I have the time to do it. So guess what? I'm stepping into this role, and if this is what this guy wants, because I'm going to keep on trying to be peaceful and amicable and end everything on a good note, but if he's going to keep on pushing, then I guess what? I guess I'm going to be the person.
Yo, me, me,